Hey there, thank you so much for joining me today. We are making chocolate cake today with vanilla Italian buttercream. So to start out, we're going to get the dry ingredients together. This cake's a little different in that you put together the dry ingredients and then you add all the wet ingredients to them. The first thing you need is 2 3/4 cups of flour. And then next we're going to add 2 cups of sugar. And to that, we're going to add 3/4 cup of cocoa powder, and I use Belgian chocolate cocoa powder, the high fat, really good stuff. In addition to that, we're going to add 1½ teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1½ teaspoons of baking powder. And in case you're wondering, I use a 1/2 tablespoon for the 1½ teaspoons because it's the same amount and less work. So then once you put your dry ingredients together, I give them a quick little mix and get that going. And while I'm doing that, I go ahead and get the wet ingredients together. So the wet ingredients include 2 eggs. And if you want to know how to crack your eggs one-handed like a champ, look at the video that I've got linked up in the upper right-hand corner here. In addition to the 2 eggs, we're going to have 1 cup of buttermilk. I always use whole buttermilk. For all the baking stuff, you want to use full fat ingredients. This isn't a good place to cut the corners. We're going to add 1/2 cup of canola oil. You can also use vegetable oil or any other low flavor oil. I use canola oil because some people have a soy allergy, and this way they don't have to worry about it. And the last thing that we're going to add is a tablespoon of vanilla. And I know I'm a broken record, but use pure vanilla. Get your dry ingredients going on low so it doesn't fly into your face, and add your wet ingredients and your eggs. And after you do that, you're going to let it mix on medium speed. I usually do about 4, level 4 on my mixer, for 2 minutes. While the ingredients are mixing on medium speed, I bring 1 cup of water to boil in the microwave. Once you get that off of the mixer, you can just clean off your paddle, of course, and then you'll add in your hot water. And I hand mix this. I used to do it on the mixer, but I discovered that it just splashed stuff everywhere and it was just a huge mess. I probably have that guard that comes with the mixer hidden somewhere, but I've had this mixer for 20 something years and I have no idea where that guard is. The hot water is used to activate the cocoa powder so it becomes smoother, creamier, and even more chocolatier. So you definitely don't want to skip the step of heating up the water to boiling point. The cake batter will be thin. Don't worry, it's supposed to be like that. It does come out nice and fluffy and moist, just like a cake is supposed to be. How that works, I have no idea, but I chalk it up to magic. Once you have that mixed in, you're going to add them to your 2 cake pans. I use a 9-inch cake round, and I line it with parchment paper on the bottom. That way I don't have to spray the pan. Again, this is an no soy solution so that people who have soy allergies can still enjoy my products. I've actually discovered that's more common than I would have thought. Once you have your pans evenly divided, you're going to put them into the oven at 375 degrees. And they bake for 30 minutes. Your oven may be different, so it might need a little bit less or a little bit more time. You can tell when the cakes are done, they're going to start to separate from the edge of the pan, and you can always poke them with a toothpick or knife just to make sure they're done in the middle. After your cakes have fully cooled, you're going to remove them from the pan and you're going to split them in half. I actually learned from watching some other videos that the best way to do it is to just keep dragging your knife along the outer edge and slowly work your way through until you get to the other side, and you'll end up with a fairly even slice. One little trick that I have learned is to leave the plastic wrap from the top on the cake cutting surface. Then you have a nice way to put your hand down on top of the cake without getting it all dirty. Because it's so moist, it'll come up on your hand if you place your hand on top of it to try and hold it in place. So I've developed this little hack to just leave the plastic wrap on top. So then I take the top half of the first cake and put it down on my cake board, and then just add some of the Italian buttercream to the middle and Give it a good little swirl all over the place so it's a nice even coating of the buttercream. Another trick that I have learned along the road is to put the top half on the bottom and then the bottom half on top. As you can see, you can use the leftover parchment paper as a holder place for your offset spatula that you're using or whatever knife you're using. Now this vanilla Italian buttercream is absolutely delicious. I made a video on how to make this buttercream a couple of weeks ago. You can click on the link in the upper right hand corner to check out how to make this buttercream and have yourself this wonderful cake. So essentially what you're doing here is rinse and repeat. For each layer of cake, you just want to put down that layer of cake and then cover it with buttercream and keep repeating until you get to the top layer. You want to try and put the same amount of buttercream for each layer so it's consistent. You can measure it if you want, but I don't. This is definitely a subjective thing with how much buttercream to put on the cake. Some people love tons of frosting, some people love less. I think I'm more of a happy medium. You can put in however much or a little as you like. After you've completed your last layer, what you're going to do is go ahead and buttercream the outside of the cake as well as the top. And this doesn't have to be pretty because this is the crumb coat of the cake. What you're doing is getting all those crumbs trapped up in that bottom layer of buttercream. And after you're done with that, you'll put it in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes. You can put it in the freezer for about 10 minutes if you're in a hurry, but I usually put it in the fridge for about 20 minutes. After it's had a chance to chill, all those crumbs are trapped in that bottom layer of buttercream, and you can put another layer of buttercream on top, and it will stay nice and clean. No crumbs visible. Now that your cake has had a chance to chill for 20 minutes, you're going to put a top layer of buttercream on the cake. Just a simple layer of buttercream that will cover the entire cake, and then you will use that as your basis for decoration. On this cake, I used a simple arched comb technique to decorate the sides. I bought this cake decorating tool as a part of a kit, and it's basically just a small toothed comb. So what you're going to do is put it at about a 45-degree angle to the side of the cake and put even pressure on it and just sweep it in arcs along the side of the cake until you get back to your starting point. You can vary the size of the arcs, make them larger or smaller depending on what you prefer, but this is what felt natural to me. And on the top, I just did a simple swirl, as you can see, with the offset spatula. It looks pretty and it's easy to do. Now, this is kind of funny. Anybody that knows me knows that I have very small hands. So normally when I'm doing this, I just put a little bit of buttercream in the piping bag and then I refill it. But because I was doing it for the camera, I thought, well, I'll just put it all in there at once, and that way you don't have to see me refilling the bag several times because of my little baby-sized hands. So I put it all in there, and as you can see, yeah, it was a struggle. I kept having to shift the bag. That's why there's so many starts and stops on this. If you have small hands like I do, you don't want to put too much into the piping bag because, as you can see, it's harder to squeeze that way unless you have hands of steel, which I don't. close, but I had to redo it again. And there you have it. That is the chocolate cake with vanilla Italian buttercream. Thanks again for joining us today, and I hope you have a great one.